Great. Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name's Dr. Falkenberg. I'm the chair of the Board of Dentistry. We would like, before we call the meeting to order, we're going to show a quick video. Thank you for your patience too, because we're starting out with a new way of doing our meetings with some new technology. So thank you for bearing with us. So Mark, can you go ahead and play the video, please?
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking, as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras. Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Okay, thank you. Before we call the meeting to order, we have something that needs to be read, and the vice chair is going to read something, and after that, we'll call the meeting, call roll.
Okay.
Dr. Sale.
Thank you, Chair. Internet access to review the meeting and provide live oral testimony. Please use the link on the top of the agenda. You'll be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym or identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You'll also be asked for an email address. You may fill this field with any entry in an email format. Your microphone will be automatically muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen to indicate you wish to testify about that agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute the microphone. When recognized by the chair, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking. Upon request, your Zoom video or similar on-camera option will enable you to be visible to the board members and other meeting participants while presenting oral testimony. Please turn off your camera after you conclude your testimony. It is an individual testifier's responsibility to ensure that they have the video and internet capabilities to successfully stream and record the testimony. The board maintains authority to review their individuals will believe to disrupt or compromise the conduct of the meeting. Phone access. If you cannot get internet access, you may get audio-only access by calling the phone number listed on the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you'll be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you'll be asked to either enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. We'll now have a panelist number, so please wait until you're admitted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you can indicate you want to testify by entering star then 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering star then 9, A voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting will be notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing star, then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you're unmuted. Once you're finished speaking, enter star, then 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access, when testifying, you'll be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes accessible per agenda item. If the connection to this meeting is not within 30 minutes, the meeting will be continued on a specified date and time. This information we will provide on the board's website. Instructions to attend State of Hawaii virtual meetings may also be found on the Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna take roll, then I'll call the meeting to order. So those that are on the Zoom meeting, please state that you are present and alone. Okay, Dr. Fujimoto.
Present alone.
Okay, myself here, Kathy.
Here.
Okay, Dr. Seo,
Here in person.
Joyce Yamada,
Present and alone.
Joyce Shimabuku,
Here.
okay, Dr. Yamamoto.
Present and alone.
Okay, and I'm here. I think that's everybody. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. And we'll move on to item 2, approval of executive session and open session minutes. So if you could please review your, I have to also call, is there any public testimony for the minutes for open session minutes?
Thank you, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
Okay, then I'm going to open this to the board. If you could please review, we'll do the open session minutes first. Any discussion, if there's any corrections or? Do you want to make note of it? Oh, that's okay. That's okay? Yeah. Okay, seeing no discussion from the board, can I have a motion to approve the the open session minutes? I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Hi.
All opposed? Say nay and raise your hands. No one's opposed. Okay, let's move on to executive session minutes. I think we have to open up public comments and stuff. Yeah, no, any public comments in the executive session, just to be. Correct. Correct. Okay, we have no public testimony. I'm gonna open this up to the board members then. Any discussion for the executive session minutes, corrections or anything? Seeing none, can I have someone give a motion to approve the executive session minutes?
I motion to approve the executive session minutes. This is Andrew.
Okay, can I have a second?
Joyce Shimabuku, second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hands and say aye.
Hi.
Let's raise your hands and aye. And any nays or recusals or abstentions?
I didn't read it. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
So,
Let me re-vote that again then.
Yeah.
Okay,
and just as a note, for the board members, since we are exactly at quorum for this meeting, in accordance with 436, we need to have unanimous votes on all motions or they will not.
okay, so we're gonna have you read this real quick. We're gonna take a few moments and have Kathy read the minutes real quick.
If you need more time, you can also defer approval of it to the next.
Okay.
We can move along.
Okay, all right, seeing as how we won't have a quorum if we vote now, since we have a nay or a refusal, I need a motion to defer.
We don't need a
Oh, we don't need a motion? Okay, we're gonna defer approving the minutes, the executive session minutes for the next meeting. Okay. All right, so let's move on to item 3, applications. There's a list that should have been published. Are there any public testimony to any of the people on the list? On the ratification list for, we'll go through the dentist, the dental hygienist, approved temporary dentist license, temporary dentist license. So there's 3 items there to look at. Okay, no applications for anesthesia, I see. Okay. So any public testimony for the ratification list, again, for the dentist, the dental hygienist, and the temporary dentist licenses.
Thank you, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
Okay, well then I'm gonna make a motion. We're gonna go through all 3 lists. I'm just gonna go through the numbers of the list. I think that's okay. The ratification list for the dentist starts from DT 3164 to DT 3180. The approved dental hygienist list goes from DH 2470 to DH 2478. And the approved temporary dentist license is DTT 374 to DTT 380. I should go, is there any board comments? I forgot to ask for any board comments for any of the applications. Seeing none, I need a motion to approve the list for the approved dentist, the approved dental hygienist, and the approved temporary dentist licenses. So they give me
I motion to approve the ratification list for the approved dentist, dental hygienist, and temporary dentist list.
I need a second. Anyone?
Yamamoto second.
Okay, second from Dr. Yamamoto. Okay, all in favor, raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Everyone saying aye and they're raising their hands. Any nays, abstentions, or recusals? Okay, seeing none, we have. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to item B, applications. And we're gonna start with the first one, Arlene Levy. I'm gonna hand this over to Sheena, because this one we have to re-vote on because of a correction in Oh, okay. I need a motion then, so we can discuss this with the board. This is personal matters relating to applications. I'm gonna put both of the applicants in this one for Arlene Levy and Dr. Miller, Abraham Miller. I need a motion to move into an executive session. And this executive session is in accordance with HR 92-4 and 92-5A 1 and 4. So we can discuss matters. Okay. So I need a motion to move into executive session. Anyone?
Jackie Fukushima, I move that we move into executive session to discuss Dr. Miller and Lily's
Yes,
application.
and I need a second.
Dr. Yamamoto second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Raise their hand and said aye. Any recusals or abstentions or nays? Being none, we move into executive session.
Before we do, there's an aide on the open session call. If is that Dr. Miller? Raise your hand.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
it.
thank you. So Dr. Miller, we'll bring you in an executive session. Anything to share with the board when we discuss that, then when they discuss the application. Thank you.
And then board members and Day, Paige, I will be transitioning everyone over to our executive session.
We'll start Who are we missing? I think we got everyone back, correct? Okay, we got everyone back. We're back into open session. We're gonna go back to our applications and we're gonna start with a revote on Dr. Arlene Levy's application. This is for us to correct the citations. So I'm gonna do a roll call vote. who wants to just ask for yay or nay, or do we say just to vote again?
You should at least list the citation.
Okay, I'm gonna list citations. In the past, we voted to deny the license in the past, but I'm just gonna correct the citations and we'll take the vote again. First citation is 436B-19, grounds for refusal to renew, reinstate, or restore, and for revocation, suspension, denial, or conditions of licenses. In addition to any other act or condition provided by law, the licensing authority may refuse to renew, reinstate, or restore, or may deny, revoke, suspend, or condition in any matter any license for any one or more of the following acts or conditions on the parts of the licensee or the applicant thereof. Item 7, professional misconduct, incompetence, gross negligence, or manifest incapacity in the practice of the licensed profession or vocation. Next, 436B-19, grounds for refusal to renew, reinstate, or restore, and to revocation, suspension, denial, or conditions of licensee. Item 9, conduct or practices contrary to recognized standards of ethics for the licensed profession or vocation. 436-19, grounds for refusal to review, reinstate, or restore for revocation, suspension, denial, or conditions of licensee. 13, revocation, suspension, or other disciplinary actions by another state or federal agency against the licensee or applicant for any reason provided by the licensing law or this section. Next item, 448-17, refusal, revocation, suspension, and administrative penalties. A, the board shall refuse to issue a license to any applicant who fails to meet all of the requirements imposed by this chapter and may refuse to issue a license to any applicant who has been disciplined by another state or federal agency. Notwithstanding any law to the contrary, a final order denying the issuance of a license to any applicant based on the applicant's discipline by another state or federal agency shall be a matter of public record. Next item, 88 Code of Ethics, Section 2, Principles Non-Maleficence, do no harm. The dentist has a duty to refrain from harming the patient. This principle expresses the concept that professionals have a duty to protect patients from harm. Under this principle, the dentist's primary obligation includes keeping knowledge and skills current, knowing one's own limitations and when to refer to a specialist or other professional, and knowing when and under what circumstances delegation of patient's care to auxiliaries is appropriate. Okay, so that's the grounds for Dr. Levy's case. So I need a motion again we're re-voting on this to deny the license. I'm going to give a roll call vote
So
now.
making that motion to
Yeah.
deny on the basis.
I'm making, well, actually, could I have someone else have to make the motion? Okay, I'll make the motion again to deny the license for Dr. Levy. Like I said, I'm going to do a roll call vote. My vote. Oh, a second, sorry.
Second.
Okay, Joyce, second. Okay, here comes the roll call vote. I'll vote first. Dr. Guevara, no.
So can you just say a deny if it's?
Okay, I'm gonna, the three votes again are to deny the license, approve the license, or license with restrictions. So in this case, I'm gonna deny the license. Okay, so my vote is to deny the license. Dr. Fujimoto.
I vote to deny the license.
Kathy Fukushima.
I vote to deny the license.
Joy Shimabuku.
Deny.
Dr. Seiyu.
Deny the license.
Joy Shimada.
Deny the license.
Did I miss anyone? Oh, and Dr. Yamamoto. Backwards.
To deny the license.
Okay, looks like it's a unanimous vote. Okay. So let's move on to Dr. Miller. Okay. You want me to read everything first, or do you want me to request?
Any public testimony?
Okay, again, back to Dr. Mills. Any public testimony?
Thank you, Chair. There's no one wishing to provide oral testimony.
Okay, any last, we'll close the public testimony for right now. Any last board testimony or board discussion? Okay, do we have to call for a motion to either, of the three things? Okay, I have to call for a motion. We have three decisions to make here, or one of three choices. One is to approve a license, two is to deny a license, and two is to approve a license with conditions. I need a motion for any one of those.
Craig Yamamoto, I make a motion to, I should state one of the three? Question, Sheena?
Yes.
I make a motion to deny the license.
Mhm. And the basis for denial.
Okay, I can read some of those.
And I'm happy to just, I don't know all the citations, but it's 436B19. I believe it's 7, 9, and 13.
Okay.
And Dr. Guevara has that, and then there are others as well, but there are a number of reasons to deny.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Yamamoto. In that case, if
I'll-
Dr. Guevara can make the motion if you have the citation.
I'll make the motion then.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
It's okay, then I'm gonna make the motion to deny the license for Dr. Miller
Based on.
under this, what I'm about to read. Okay, and then I can get a second after I read it, okay? First item, 436B-19, grounds for refusal to renew, reinstate, or restore, and for revocation, suspension, denial, or conditions of licensee. In addition to any other act or condition provided by law, the licensing authority may refuse to renew, reinstate, or restore, or may deny, revoke, suspend, or condition in any manner any license for anyone or more of the following acts or conditions on part of the licensee or applicant thereof. Number 7, professional misconduct, incompetence, gross negligence, or manifest incapacity in the practice of the licensed profession or vocation. 436-19, item 9. Again, it's grounds for refusal to renew, reinstate, or restore, and for revocation, suspension, denial, or conditions of licensee. 9, conditions or practices contrary to recognized standards of ethics for the licensed profession or vocation. 436-19, 436B-19, grounds for refusal to reinstate, renew, or restore for the revocation, suspension, denial, or conditions of licensees. Item 13, revocation, suspension, or other disciplinary actions by another state or federal agency against a licensee or applicant for any reason provided by the licensing law or this section. 448-17, refusal, revocation, suspension, and administrative penalties. A, the board shall refuse to issue a license to any applicant who fails to meet all of the requirements imposed by this chapter and may refuse to issue a license to any applicant who has been disciplined by another state or federal agency. Notwithstanding any laws to the contrary, a final order denying the issuance of a license to any applicant based on the applicant's discipline by another state or federal agency shall be a matter of public record. 88 Code of Ethics, Section 2, Principles, Non-Maleficence, Do No Harm. The dentist has a duty to refrain from harming the patient. The principles express the concept that professionals have a duty to protect the patients from harm. Under this principle, the dentist's primary obligations include keeping knowledge and skills current, knowing one's own limitations and when to refer to a specialist or other professional, and knowing when and under what circumstances delegation of patient's care to auxiliaries is appropriate. I can never say that word. Okay. Code of Professional Conduct, 2G, professional relationships with patients. Dentists should avoid interpersonal relationships that could impair their professional judgment or risk the possibility of exploiting the confidence placed on them by a patient. Okay, so those are the citations. So I'll take a roll call vote.
Yamamoto second? Do you need
Okay.
that? Gina, sorry.
Yes, we need a second. Okay, now let's go ahead back to the roll call vote. Dr. Guevara, I'm gonna say deny the license. Dr. Fujimoto,
Deny.
Kathy Fukushima,
Yeah.
Joy Shimabuku,
Denied.
okay. Dr. Seu,
Deny the license.
Roy Shimada,
Deny the license.
and Dr. Yamamoto.
Deny the license.
Okay. Ashina, I'm gonna turn this back over to you. So we voted to deny the license, and then any other correspondence or communications, I'll leave up to you.
Motion carries, and for the applicants, you'll receive correspondence from the board's email on these buildings. And just to clarify, for all the citations for Arlen Levy and Abraham Miller, it was 436B, right?
Yes, 436B-19. All right, so I think we can move on now to item 4, Executive Officers Report. So I'm gonna turn this over to Sheena, and she's gonna go over some legislative items for us.
Thank you, Dr. Barr. The first item is for legislation. I know I've provided an update to the board at our last meeting. There are some bills that have further updates, so just providing those for you. The first bill is Senate Bill 1035 SD2 HD1 CD1 relating to the general excise tax. So the description is that it exempts from the general excise tax those medical and dental services provided by healthcare providers to patients who receive Medicaid, Medicare, or TRICARE benefits. So just reporting that SB 1035 was passed in both the House and Senate committees. It was signed by the governor on June 3rd, 2024 as Act 047, and it shall take effect on January 1st, 2026. So that's just an FYI. And the board, you have a copy of that in your board packet. Next is House Bill 1597 HD1 SB1 relating to the Sunshine Law. There's the description there. I just want to let you know that the next 3 bills, so this one as well as the next 2 listed on the agenda, they're related to Sunshine Law. And for a reminder to our board, that Sunshine Law governs much of the procedures of state boards for openness and transparency. So these are for FYI, but they're relevant to our board. So for this one, HB 1597, it was passed in both committees, transmitted to the governor on April 17, 2024, and it's still waiting signature. So essentially, this bill clarified that the board is the proper entity against which an applicant may file a lawsuit, not the Office of Information Practices. Okay, next is HB 1598 HD1 SD1, again relating to Sunshine Law. So this was also passed in both committees, and it was signed by the governor on May 3rd, 2024 as Act 011 and is effective immediately. So no board action is needed, again, board member action. The new law will be addressed and administered by the board staff for several things, including public packets, which were already available for the public upon request. We will receive public testimony even on the day of the meeting, so I'll take care of that on your behalf and distribute it if needed. Any other lists will be included in public distribution, and administratively, the board staff is working on posting the public portions of the packets on the department website, but we're still getting advisement on that. It's a lot of logistics for that one. Okay, and then the last one is HB 1599 HD1 SD1, again relating to Sunshine Law, so passed in both committees, signed by the governor on May 3rd, 2024 as Act 012, also effective immediately. Again, no board member action needed. It's essentially I modified the information that's read at the beginning of the meeting that we are allowing for testifiers to be available, visibly available for their oral testimony via Zoom. Okay, any questions on any of those bills? And if there's any other updates, I'll continue to provide those too. And finally, our final agenda item is number 5, election of officers in accordance with HRS 436B-6. So I'll just read that for everyone's information. It reads, immediately upon the qualification and appointment of the original members and annually thereafter, the board shall elect one member as chair and one member as vice chair. In absence of both the chair and the vice chair to preside at the meeting, the members present shall elect a chair pro tem. So we are at that annual point in the board's calendar. Before we go into elections, I just want to thank our current chair, Dr. Guevara, for serving as well as the vice chair. We know a lot of extra work goes into the prep, the research and everything, so we appreciate your leadership for this past year.
Thank you, Dr. Gafar.
Okay, then I'm gonna make a motion that I'm gonna nominate Dr. Seo, the vice chair right now, to take the chair's position.
Before a second.
Second.
You gotta run the vote, you have to run the vote.
So all in favor of electing Dr. Sue as the new chair, please say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any nays, recusers, or abstentions? Okay, seeing none, the motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Sue. And then the next position is vice chair. Dr. Lau is not present, but he did indicate to me via email that he would be interested in the vice chair if nobody else would like to volunteer for that position. Is anybody else interested in serving as vice chair? Otherwise, if there's a motion to nominate Dr. Lau as vice chair.
I make a motion to nominate Dr. Lau for vice chair.
Is there a second?
I'll make the second.
Okay. Okay, so all in favor of Dr. Lau being the new vice chair, please say aye.
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 Any nays, recusals, or abstentions? Okay, so the motion carries. So Dr. Chu will be our new chair, Dr. Lau will be our new vice chair. And again, thank you especially to Dr. Guevara for your service as chair. We appreciate it.
I've been chair for 9 years.
Thank you very much. Okay, and then in your last meeting, would you like to adjourn the meeting?
Okay, that's it. As my last official act, I like to call this meeting adjourned.
Okay, thank you.